What is up, guys? Welcome to another very different video on my channel. This time we're going to be looking at the F1 2018 season driver lineup and grid. Now on screen we've got all the teams with blank places for their drivers, and in the bottom right you can see we've got Paul di Resta in the free agent. So we've only got one free agent at the moment. As we progress and the grid changes, we're going to obviously maybe fill that up a little bit and see how we can do. But you can see on screen we've got Toro Rosso, Honda, McLaren, Renault, Sauber, Ferrari, all the main key engine changes. Obviously McLaren going to Renault, swapping with Toro Rosso, who now have the Honda engine, but we'll get into that as we get into those teams individually. So the first team we have on the top left is Mercedes, and you can see we have Lewis Hamilton, who does retain his seat for the Mercedes team. I'm not sure how long his contract is or going to be, but I can imagine he is probably going to finish his career at the Mercedes team, just because there's not really much place for him to go in terms of championship winning teams that have got really good pace. He won't go to Ferrari. Red Bull definitely wouldn't have him. So that's going to be Lewis Hamilton, and returning as his teammate for the 2018 season is Valtteri Bottas. Now Bottas, I think, signed a 1-year extension, which isn't an awful lot. I think they're just waiting to see what happens with the rest of their talent. Maybe see what Ocon does and how he performs. I don't think Verline has performed as well as they wanted, so definitely Valtteri Bottas is a solid lineup, but that Mercedes pairing has unchanged. Moving on to Ferrari. Now the driver who's signed another contract with them for, I think that was 3 years as well, is Sebastian Vettel. So Sebastian Vettel signs another 3 years, so he'll be in Formula 1 till 2021, I believe, if my maths is correct. So as the engine changes come in, after that he'll be able to decide whether he wants to stay at Ferrari, he wants to move to Mercedes maybe. I don't know. I think I could see him staying at Ferrari for most of his career. But alongside Vettel for the next season, returning again, is Kimi Räikkönen. Now, this is a lot of controversy. A lot of people didn't really want Kimi to retain his seat. It's been a few years now, ever since 2014, ifs and buts if Kimi should be at Ferrari. But he's had such a stronger season this year, a lot stronger than he's had since he's come back to Ferrari. So he hasn't won a race, but he's performed a lot better, and he's doing a lot better. Not as good as Bottas is doing at Mercedes, but looking at the third team on the grid, we have Red Bull, and keeping their seat for the remainder of their contract is Daniel Ricciardo. Now, Ricciardo isn't a happy bunny. He does want to leave Red Bull if they can't give him a championship-winning car or race-winning car in 2018. So Ricciardo could be on the move. We could see him move into possibly Ferrari or Mercedes, most likely Ferrari, I would think, if they can't pull their finger out. So Ricciardo's seat could be under pressure for 2019, but alongside Daniel Ricciardo, continuing his contract as well, is Max Verstappen, and Max Verstappen is in exactly the same position. He is not happy with the progress that Red Bull are showing. He'll be out as well if they can't give him a championship-winning car. So that could potentially mean both Red Bull drivers split and go Mercedes and Ferrari. It's going to be really interesting to see how that develops, obviously with the Toro Rosso drivers as well. But moving on to the pink car, we have Force India. Recently signed another contract for the Force India team is Sergio Perez. So he's going to be, again, leading the Force Indias. He's got a lot of sponsorship money coming in to the team, which obviously helps them out. I think they're the most sponsored team on the grid in terms of what's on their car. It is just ridiculous how many sponsors on that car. But Perez hasn't had a great season. Probably one of his worst ones in the most recent years, but that's because of his new teammate, and funnily enough, it is his teammate who will be making a return to Force India. So it'll be Esteban Ocon who will be partnering up with Sergio Perez for the 2018 season. Again, it's not too clear on their careers, like how many years they've signed, but I would assume it's probably about two seasons, give or take, for like the smaller teams. Like Renault, Force India, etc., Williams and all that. But the next team is Renault. We're going to have a look at Renault, which is been a really interesting talking point. So Nico Hülkenberg is under contract, so he will definitely be racing. He seems very happy. yeah, he seems very happy at Renault. He's had a solid year. He's had some really good moments. He still hasn't got his elusive podium, unfortunately. But the way he's going and the way Renault is progressing compared to last season, they're fourth or fifth fastest car. So, I mean, they're not doing a solid job. They're not doing too bad a job, I should say. But the person to replace Hulkenberg, initially you would think would be Jolyon Palmer, because he joined Renault in 2016. He hasn't had a great year this year. He didn't have a great year last year till the back end of the season. And somehow managed to keep his career, because I think because K-Mag left, if he'd have stayed, then he probably would have got booted out. But he's had a really poor season this year. And it's, I wouldn't say sad to say, but Jolyon Palmer does lose his seat, and he loses it to Carlos Sainz Jr. So Carlos Sainz has made the jump from Toro Rosso all the way to Renault. It's only a 1 year deal. It's like a loan. The Red Bull team said. So basically, if Verstappen or Ricciardo leave the team at end of 2018, they'll bring Sainz back in, put him up to Red Bull and stuff like that. But you can see we've got Jolyon Palmer in the free agent. So we've got two drivers there in that little pool. But we're going to go on to Toro Rosso. And because of Sainz's exit, that has more or less secured Danny Kvyat for another year, which I'm not happy about. I don't like Danny Kvyat that much, but at the end of the day, they're kind of sparse on drivers at the moment. They just released Nico Carey from their driver program, so the only two drivers that they really have in their Red Bull program is Pierre Gasly and Sean Gelael. Now, the interesting thing with that is those would be the other two candidates. However, because of their new deal with Honda, Nobuharu Matsushita is also a candidate. Now, this is the interesting thing. Sean Gelael and Matsushita are both GP2 drivers, or F2 drivers, whatever you want to call it. The only issue with them two, potentially being in the Toro Rosso, is they don't have a super license. They haven't earned enough points to gain the super license. However, Pierre Gasly has. Now, to earn the super license, you have to do well in other categories. But because Pierre Gasly won the last GP2 championship 2016, Pierre Gasly has a super license. So it will be Pierre Gasly who will be pairing up with Danny Kvyat for the 2018 season. Now, I've been waiting forever for Gasly to make it into this season. I was really hoping for 2017 that they were going to get rid of Kvyat and bring in Pierre Gasly, but Gasly's been absolutely smashing it in the Super Formula. Now, Williams is very far away down this list. These are my predictions on where the teams will finish as well, by the way. So, moving on to Williams, Lance Stroll, he's had a mediocre career, but again, like Perez, the amount of money he's pumping into the team, I think it would be stupid if they didn't actually keep him in the team. So Lance Stroll for sure. He's had an alright season. I mean, he's got a podium in Baku, which it's been a while since Williams done that. I think the last time they did that was Monza the season before. So Lance Stroll is definitely through, and his current teammate in the 2017 season is Felipe Massa. Now, there's been rumours about Robert Kubica actually taking over and replacing him. Now, Massa came out of retirement because they had no one else to drive for him. So I see him as a last option. Now, obviously Kubica was linked with Renault, but because they chose Sainz, Kubica has been released from Renault, and now Nico Rosberg's taking control of his management. So I'm very comfortable to say that it's going to be Robert Kubica that will take the second Williams seat alongside Lance Stroll. Maybe only for a season or two, just to see how good he is. But I'm pretty confident that Robert Kubica will be at Williams, just because there's not really many places for him to go. So we'll drop Massa down in the free agent section. So we've got a cute little lineup there. Paul di Resta being probably the least favourable out of all of them, not really having much driver time. But we're going to move on to the Haas, or the Ferrari B team to an extent. So we've got Romain Grosjean still under contract with Haas. I think this will be his last season on his contract. So after this, I'm not sure where he could go. He might leave the sport. I think that's an option for him, go into something else. I don't know. It's weird because he's not progressing through F1, and he's just not getting where he'd want to be, like at a place like Ferrari. But Haas is another one of the teams where their driver lineup doesn't change. We obviously got Kevin Magnussen back at the Haas team for the second year. I was kind of surprised by this. I expected Ferrari to worm in Giovinazzi or Leclerc, anyone, into that essentially Ferrari B team seat. So that was quite shocking for me. I didn't quite expect that, but you never know. Maybe at the end of 2018 or halfway through, they might get in a Ferrari junior driver. Now moving on to McLaren, Renault. So Alonso he's gonna stay just because McLaren's got a good chassis, and now with a Renault engine, it's gonna be better. It's not gonna be great, but it's gonna be a lot more improved. And he'll probably want to see how it goes. He might sign a 1-year deal, but he's gonna stay. There's nowhere else for him to go unless he goes IndyCar, but I really do doubt he'll go there. He might give F1 one more season and see how it works, but you never know. But again, just like Haas, McLaren keep their driver lineup, so Stoffel, Van Dorn. Now, I kind of feel for Stoffel because he hasn't had a great opportunity, because he's just as good as Leclerc in terms of when he was a GP2, so we're going to maybe get a chance to see how good he is, because he really hasn't had the opportunity to shine in terms of races. Like, he's had a really, really bad engine in his car, but it's going to be interesting to see how he progresses. But what we're going to do now is we're going to add the final 2 drivers to the free agents at the moment. But we've got Sauber Ferrari is the last team to go. Now, that engine name is very significant in my next selection and prediction. So obviously Ferrari power the Sauber team. Sauber team are in a lot of issues with money, so they've got a Ferrari engine which could dictate what happens with their driver lineup. So we're going to add obviously the other 2 to the free agents, and the first one we're going to have is Giovinazzi. He raced for Sauber in the first 2 races, didn't really do that well. You know, it wasn't great, especially in qualifying. He really did bomb it in qualifying. He did try his best, bless him, I'll give him that, but I don't know. I'm pretty sure he'll do a lot better once he gets a bit more comfortable with the car. But the one driver everyone's been waiting for to get an F1 seat is obviously this man, Charles Leclerc. He really does deserve it. He deserves an F1 drive more than anyone on the grid. He has just absolutely dominated the first half of F2. Now, the second half hasn't been as good since Belgium. That's for many reasons, but this man is an incredible talent. He is ridiculously consistent, he's quick, and especially in the Formula F2 where there's so many competitive drivers, it's just crazy. But there is our grid for 2018. I reckon there's maybe two lineups, 2 or 3 lineups that maybe aren't spot on, but I'm feeling pretty confident that that is how the grid will line up. I think Williams and Sauber are the only question marks really, but I don't reckon it'll be too far off. I'm guaranteed we'll see Leclerc in a race seat at Sauber next year. Giovinazzi maybe. Otherwise, what else are Ferrari going to do with him? But anyway, that's been it for this video. It's been a slightly longer video than I thought it was when I was putting it together. I realised this is going to take a while. But let me know what you guys think in the comments section below. Let me know what you think the grid will be like. If you think I'm accurate or if I'm completely out there. But yeah, anyway guys, that's been it for this video. I hope you've enjoyed. Took a little while to come up with this, but hopefully made everything a little bit clearer on the screen. But until next time guys, I'll see you then. Bye bye.